On the planet Vegeta, a child with his level of fighting completely null has been born, so he'd be considered low class. On that planet, he was not able to stay since the Saiyans were warriors who specialized in buying and selling planets. But for this elite, warriors were required, and a baby without any trace of energy would not serve for absolutely nothing. However, for his parents, it was a blessing, although the Saiyan named Bardock and Kakarot's father would realize that Frieza had a malicious plan.
Gine, we better send Kakarot towards planet Earth, since apparently Vegeta will be attacking Frieza. I can feel it.
What crazy things are you saying? We can't send Kakarot to another planet. He's just a baby, and being low class, he won't be able to defend himself.
If my hunch really fails, I'll personally go pick up Kakarot, since I don't want to leave him either. I want to train him to become more powerful, but we can't risk it. If Frieza plots something, I won't be able to defend him.
You know, Bardock, despite being a Saiyan who conquers planets, I can tell you're an excellent father. And it's okay, we'll do what you say.
That same night, Bardock was able to steal a ship in which they would send Kakarot to planet Earth, while Bardock and Gine watched their son's ship move away across the infinite space. On the other hand, while Kakarot would continue traveling at high speed, however, throughout Multiverse 7, beings in the form of balloons were in charge of uniting the demonic world with the outside world. And by a failure in Kakarot's ship, or rather the law of attraction, was able to absorb Kakarot, which, after the passage of several days all over the place, he was able to fall on the outskirts of a large castle. That's right, that place was divided into three, which were known as the third, second, and first demon world. In the castle that Kakarot had fallen, it had been the first demon world, the most powerful among the three. On the other hand, of the castle, a warrior would come out, realizing that a small baby from the outside world had fallen into the first demon world.
Wow, but if he's a being from the outside world, but how was he able to get into this place? That must be practically impossible because he has to get through the warp-sama.
The cries of the little boy would alert the police of the first demonic world, so Degesu would quickly take him with him. That's right, without anyone else knowing, he would begin to raise the little boy, because in that place the powerful Dabura reigned, which would not allow absolutely anything, and being the Demon King, he had the power to even end Kakarot's life if he wished. So Degesu, in one of the different alternate lines of his room, had been able to raise Kakarot. It had been several years since the arrival of Kakarot. However, at this time, the Demon King Dabura had disappeared, being summoned by a very powerful magician who was even able to put him to work for him. So at this time, he had decided on a new Demon King, being Goma, who would take his place, but his right hand was Degesu, so Kakarot from now on no longer needed to be hidden in Degesu's room.
I can finally meet the first demon world. This'll be a lot of fun. I've always wanted to fight with someone else.
No, Kakarot, no! Because if the villagers realize that you belong to the outside world, it doesn't matter that the big Goma protects you. A big revolution will be put together. Ha 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 ha! Don't worry, Degesu. Although I look like an evil being, I don't plan to let the children of this place get hurt. And since his birth, he has arrived here. So he is likely a baby of the demonic world.
Kakarot had gotten the permission to start exploiting the different worlds that existed in the demonic kingdom. On the other hand, on the outside, Bardock's feeling had been correct, since Frieza was able to destroy planet Earth. So after several years had passed, Kakarot's older brother Raditz had gone also to planet Earth in order to ask them to join him, so that the conquest of planets becomes much easier. However, by the time he had reached planet Earth, he would realize how everything was destroyed in its wake.
Apparently the useless one from Kakarot after all has been able to conquer this planet. I'm surprised, but I'll have to recruit him.
Raditz, with the help of his tracker, would go to where he perceived the most powerful energy on the whole planet, thinking that it was his brothers. But at the moment he arrived, he was surprised to realize that it was from an Namekian.
Apparently I've had too many expectations of Kakarot. But after all, he was not considerate or low class, so this capable Namekian that I ended his life. I don't know who you are talking about, but this very moment I'm thinking of finishing you. I thought I'd already finished with all the warriors on this planet.
Piccolo had thrown himself against Raditz. However, each of his blows was not capable of doing the slightest damage to Raditz. Piccolo had noticed this while he was trying to hurt him in the same way, being to fill an incredible panic. So Raditz, charging a little of his energy, was able to pulverize Piccolo.
That guy was nothing but a weakling. If Kakarot's defeated by that guy, it's better that he died, since he was with us wouldn't have been able to survive.
Raditz would rise to the atmosphere of the planet, and with a great attack he was able to destroy the entire planet in its entirety, leaving it where he was with his other companions were. On the other hand, returning to the demonic kingdom, Kakarot had been able to face several policemen, being considered someone from the outside world. However, every time Kakarot got into trouble, he always returned to his castle to hide, until one day Goma would speak publicly to the whole demonic kingdom.
Well, I've gotten tired of hiding it. 12 years ago, a ship from the outside world arrived at the palace. So defenseless child arrived, and we raised him between Degesu and me. If you have something to say it now, since you also have children.
A great silence had invaded the whole demonic kingdom. On the other hand, since that day, Kakarot was able to move around the whole kingdom without any problem. One day, Degesu, along with Kakarot, had left for some mountains in order to explore new areas. However, Kakarot would leave for a small store where he would buy a few treats. And when he returned, he would notice how Degesu was very badly injured, while next to him, a large Minotaur was watching to Kakarot.
That Goma must be crazy to let a being from the outside world live among us. I can't allow that. At this moment, they will both die.
Kakarot, feeling an incredible anger, he would begin to expel an incredible power. Such was the power that this time the whole demonic kingdom would begin to tremble, while his hair would begin to turn a yellowish color. While rays came out of all his aura, at the moment of a great scream, Kakarot had transformed. And with a great anger, he had rushed against him, being able to knock him down without any difficulty. But at the moment of approaching towards Degesu, his body was expelling too much blood, for what Kakarot would quickly hold him, starting to fly towards the palace. Goma was surprised by the new appearance of Kakarot, but it was not the time, so instantly Goma would request the urgent presence of Arinisu. Instantly, a woman similar to Degesu would appear, but before saying at least one word, he would realize that his brother was on the verge of death.
I don't know what happened to you, but don't let yourself die.
Arinisu, being a great scientist in the whole demonic kingdom, was able to heal each of his wounds. Since apart from being a scientist, she was able to perform potions, so she was able to stabilize him. This time, he just needed a little rest more.
I really appreciate her, Nisu. If it wasn't for you, Degesu would have died.
Don't worry, Goma-sama. I'm here to serve you, but I'm not going to let my dear brother die.
At that moment, they would observe how Kakarot had golden hair, but the instant they were about to ask him something, Kakarot would fall to the ground out of combat, since his body wasn't able to withstand all that power. After several days had passed in which Degesu had woken up, would be informed of everything that had happened. While Kakarot was still knocked out of combat, while every part of his body began to couple to the new power that he had unlocked.
So Kakarot's able to unlock a new power by seeing me seriously injured. I can tell that Kakarot really sees me as his father. We have raised him since Kakarot's a baby. Of course you look like his father, and much more you since you are the one who rescued him. He only returned the favor. I hope Kakarot's ready to recover to continue exploring new places.
3 more days had already passed, quickly, in which Kakarot was able to wake up completely, being greeted by Degesu, just like Goma, but Goma would take a much more serious stance heading towards Kakarot.
I, as the king of the demonic world, I order you to train much more. And I'll get you warriors and beings of great powers, so that you'll be able to defeat them.
For me, that would be not an order, since what I like the most is to become much more powerful. I want to be the next most powerful Demon King.
In that case, we'll start with your new training from today.
Several soldiers had come to the combat area, in which Kakarot's abilities would be measured by both of his masters. But these warriors were extremely weak for Kakarot, since he was able to defeat them without any difficulty. However, what Kakarot did not have was that the warriors were elite soldiers from all over the demonic kingdom.
There's no doubt that we don't know which race he belongs to, but I'm sure Kakarot's origin is of an incredible warrior race, as he adapts in an incredible way. In that case, I have the perfect opponent for you, and for you to be able to become much more powerful and get even one wish at a time.
Goma was surprised since only he was able to understand the reference that Degesu had said.
Degesu, are you giving me to understand that you want Kakarot to face the Tamagami? That's crazy. No one's able to beat him.
What? What are Tamagami? That just makes me a lot more curious. I want to fight them.
Goma-sama, don't worry. I'm sure Kakarot won't die. Even he, the Tamagami, are forbidden to end the life of their opponents, as they're the only guardians of the Dragon Balls of the demonic world. I don't know, but I feel like it's a lousy idea. But if you know Kakarot's potential, that's fine. I'll trust you. But if something happens to Kakarot, I'm planning to finish you. The mighty Goma-sama's apparently worried about someone else. This is amazing. But don't worry, I'm sure of Kakarot's potential. I know you won't be able to beat him at first, but it'll be the most difficult training in the demonic kingdom. In that case, go! But start with the weakest Tamagami of all.
Both of them had left the first demonic world, so they are gone in the third demonic world, in which they are able to observe a metal warrior. Although they did not look very imposing, when Kakarot approached, he was able to create a giant sonic wave that was able to break Kakarot's eardrums, since some blood had come out of his ears.
This is the first opponent to teach Kakarot defeat, as he's able to beat every warrior we've put in front of him.
Kakarot, despite having received a little damage, without having started the combat, would prostrate himself in front of the Tamagami, who would immediately stare at him.
But if you're as simple a child, this will be much easier than I thought. I hope you'll help me to stretch my muscles.
Instantly, both warriors began to move all over the battlefield. Although the battle seemed a little even, the Tamagami was holding back too much. While, for his part, Kakarot was using every last drop of his energy. That's right, this time the difference in their powers was very evident, since Tamagami without any effort was able to keep up with Kakarot. While for his part, Kakarot in each exchange of blows, he was very badly injured.
You never thought that a single warrior is capable of punishing me so much. This is crazy. His blows hurt too much. You don't know I have this necessary power to stand up to me. You'd better come back next time. What did you say? I'm not there yet.
Before Kakarot was able to finish his sentence, a big hammer by his side was able to knock him out of combat. So Degesu would approach to leave for the castle, in which again they would wait for his recovery. Degesu would help Kakarot to return to the castle of the Great Demon King, so that he would be able to recover. So instantly Degesu would leave to his king Goma, informing him of the whole situation with Kakarot. Kakarot's ego is very high. Despite being a child, he's been able to beat even the elite police of our kingdom, so I knew he wouldn't stand a chance against the Tamagami. But my lord, before Kakarot became unconscious, I was able to notice that his gaze this time radiated a desire for struggle that I'd never seen before. Before the two warriors are able to say anything, Arinisu, Degesu's sister, would approach all over the palace corridor, leaving both of them surprised. Arisinu, what are you doing here? I thought you were in your lab. Do I have to ask permission to go outside for some air? But it is interesting that the power of the little Kakarot has grown in such an exuberant way. What do you mean? You know something? So you better talk, because I'm not gonna repeat it to you one more time. You are correct, Goma-sama. I have been researching the origins of the little Kakarot, and the fact that he is able to have all these great reserves of energy is because he originates from one of the most powerful races of all the 12 universes, the Saiyans. Both were surprised to realize that the little boy they had in their castle was one of the most powerful warriors of all the 12 universes. However, these warriors did not know the existence of the 12 universes. I understand that there are universes in this outside world, but I didn't know the exact number. That's right, in the same way there is the king of everything, as well as the angels and gods, who are the rulers of the entire outer world. But despite everything, the race of the Saiyans is one of the most outstanding of the 12 universes, so for that reason, I want to ask you a favor. No way. With that look of yours, I already know what kind of favor you want. So you better leave, because I'm not going to let you experiment with Kakarot. Oh, Mr. Goma, don't be so boring. If little Kakarot, being a little boy, is so powerful, he can't imagine the power he would be able to get if I experiment with him.
No, sister. We'll never allow that. That would be cruel. It's true we're cruel, but we can't give Kakarot to you. We've known him since he was born.
I'm sure that child will be the downfall of the whole demonic kingdom, since his power seems to have no limit. Hopefully they won't regret this. Arinisu would leave Goma Castle, so they'd both be a little thoughtful.
Degesu, do you think Kakarot will be able to turn against us? Arinisu's words have left me questioning everything that happened. From my perspective, that would be impossible, my lord. Since on that occasion, Kakarot even released an incredible power that even that Minotaur almost ended my life. So I doubt that Kakarot will be able to destroy us.
It's okay, Degesu. I trust you, so go and stay in Kakarot's care.
As you order, my lord. With your permission, I withdraw.
Degesu would leave towards the room in which he had left Kakarot. However, upon entering, he would be surprised realizing how Kakarot was not in the place. Degesu, in panic, would ask all the police of the demonic world to locate Kakarot. So hundreds of soldiers would begin to move until they were able to have some clue about Kakarot. While for his part, Kakarot had been able to wake up, leaving to train in the second demonic world. In the Who had several acquaintances who had wished to improve the defense, Kakarot being the ideal warrior.
Oh, but if you're a little Kakarot, tell me what brings you here. This is the second demonic world. Do you want me to contact Goma?
Not at all. I'd like to have a confrontation with all your elite soldiers. I want to train, and I know that you want to reinforce your army.
Ho ho ho! This is indeed excellent news. Of course, if in that case, I'll organize the entire platform so you're able to have a worthy training.
After a few minutes, the platform was full of hundreds of warriors all over the place. So Kakarot, without any detour, would go down to face each of them, so instantly each of the warriors would throw themselves against Kakarot, who without the difficulty would be able to eliminate them one by one, which would leave the king of the second demonic world very surprised.
Wow! That's amazing, Kakarot. I'll be improving my defense a lot more, and I hope you keep visiting these worlds.
Of course, my king, and thank you very much for the hospitality. It's helped me a lot with these trainings. I'm leaving.
While Kakarot was walking around the place, he was very thoughtful, remembering his battle against the Tamagami.
It's time. I don't plan to stay with this defeat. Right now, I'm leaving to face that junk again.
Kakarot had headed towards the third demonic world with his great power, being able to arrive again in front of the Tamagami, so when he was able to face the Tamagami would recognize him immediately, knowing that he was the boy with whom he had fought 2 days ago.
What are you doing here again? Do you want to die this time? I'll have no mercy, since the last time when we were knocked out of combat, we had to end the combat. No, at this moment, I'm ready to beat you, so fight with me again. I want the Dragon Ball. In that case, get ready. I plan to finish you like the last time.
Instantly, the entire battlefield would become tense. At the moment, a small breeze of air was able to move a small leaf, so instantly the fight would begin. That's right, the incredible combat this time would be felt by the three demonic worlds. Even strong tremors would reach Gohan's place, which would realize one of the Tamagami had begun to fight.
Gesu, this is bad. Kakarot has apparently faced the demonic third world Tamagami again, so go ahead, don't let him die.
Gesu, without answering anything, would quickly leave, so when he arrived, he was surprised to realize that multiple people were watching the great battle. Gesu, when observing the battle, was surprised because on this occasion, the power of Kakarot had been able to increase in an incredible way, being able to start cornering the Tamagami, which at the moment would fall to the ground a little surprised.
What has he done? It's only been 2 days since our last match. He couldn't improve that much in that such short period of time.
The Tamagami, with his great mental power, was able to control his incredible hammer, being able to immobilize him to where Kakarot was, which instantly, with all his power, would try to repel him, but it was impossible. However, Kakarot was able to observe Degesu again, who was very worried about his well-being.
No, not this time! Degesu's watching me for the second time. I'm not gonna lose, so destroy your hammer!
Kakarot's hair would begin to turn a golden color, while the tremors became much more powerful throughout the demonic realms. Degesu was surprised to realize how Kakarot's power would begin to increase in an unreal way, just as his hair would begin to change to a shiny golden, similar to the last time he had saved his life in the Minotaurs.
Has Kakarot been able to master all that power? The power he exudes is incredible. Even I'm not able to comprehend it.
Kakarot's incredible aura would grow throughout the entire third demonic world, with which even his power would become much greater. So instantly, Kakarot would begin to move towards the Tamagami, resuming his great battle. However, on this occasion, Kakarot would begin to corner the Tamagami more and more, because his blows would increase more powerfully, being able to make the Tamagami eat dirt, which at this moment would take a little space, starting to carry an incredible attack.
In this attack, I put all my power, so you better have the necessary power to stop it. If that's your final attack, I have to respond in kind, so I plan to reciprocate your attack in kind with a powerful attack of mine.
Kakarot would begin to gather energy in the palm of his hands, techniques that Degesu had learned in the outside world, teaching it to Kakarot later, so both warriors began to channel all their maximum energy into their attack. Instantly, their attacks were charged to the max. Both warriors had been able to throw their attacks. The clash of powers was incredible, so much that hundreds of rays were scattered all over the battlefield. However, a powerful barrier of the two remaining Tamagami would be able to protect everyone present.
I don't plan to lose to a simple child. This is my maximum power.
The Tamagami would expel all his power. However, Kakarot would not be left behind, starting to inject more and more energy towards his attack, both powers being colliding for about 3 minutes. Kakarot, furious, would increase his power much more, even compromising several of his bones, which were destroyed by the excess energy. But he was able to win the energy shock, so the Tamagami would be dragged down a few mountains. However, the Tamagami with his maximum effort was able to throw that great attack towards the heaven. But Kakarot, without wasting the opportunity, was able to connect an incredible blow in the stomach of the Tamagami, which on this occasion would make him fall to the ground very badly injured. Kakarot would take distance, putting himself in a battle pose.
What do you think of that? Can't you go on anymore? This is incredible. Even I'm not able to believe it. But if I give up, I can realize that I'm not able to defeat you. Your power this time exceeds mine.
Kakarot would return to his base state a little confused.
This means that I've been able to defeat one of the 3 most powerful warriors of the demonic kingdom. And I have to be able to win the Dragon Ball. You are right. You've been able to beat me, but there is still one last test for you to be able to win the Dragon Ball.
Tamagami would create a small table in which he was able to hide the sphere in 3 glasses. Kakarot had to guess in which one it was. However, the Tamagami with a great speed would move them, and at the moment he would ask,
"Where is the sphere located?"
Kakarot would point to the side, which was where the Tamagami had hidden the sphere.
You really are an extremely weird kid, but this time you have completely defeated me, so the sphere is completely yours. Thank you very much, and sorry for all the words I've had to say to you. Only anger's blinded me. I ask for an apology. Don't worry. You likewise excuse me. I don't know where we're so powerful.
Kakarot, along with Degesu, would leave for the castle for the first demonic kingdom. At the moment of arriving, Goma was very upset by Kakarot's imprudence.
You can't do something like that. If you haven't been able to master all that power, you wouldn't have been able to do anything against Tamagami. But I congratulate you, Kakarot.
I'm sorry, but I wish to be able to turn to the Dragon Balls, so that we'll be able to fulfill our wish.
Yes, Kakarot, we trust you, but it'll be better that you rest for now, and that you're able to master all that power completely, since you're only able to use it in critical moments, and therefore the energy drain is incredible.
I understand, Degesu. Don't worry, it won't happen again. I promise that I'll be able to become much more powerful, and that I'll master all this power.
Kakarot would leave for part of the castle to continue with his great training. Meanwhile, Arinesu was in the house of a powerful witch, which had been able to create a powerful warrior, which had even been able to cause a little battle to the so-called gods of destruction.
I know better than anyone that you are the creator of the powerful demon named Majin Buu. So I ask you, help me create an equally powerful demon. You are right. I've been the creator, but I didn't want to get into trouble. That's why I've kept my identity secret, although I don't know how you've been able to find out.
Like you, I'm also a scientist, but I don't have many of your qualities. For the same reason, I turn to your help.
Okay, I'll help you create the new Majin Buu.
both scientists began with their plans to create a new warrior, which is equally powerful to even be able to defeat Goma. On the other hand, the Demon King Goma was in search of the legendary Third Eye, which was in the regulation for which the Demon Kings, but several centuries ago, had been lost. The Third Eye was able to grant its bearer an incredible power.
I've been able to find the demonic Third Eye. I feel that something very dangerous is about to happen. We must become much more powerful.
While Kakarot, on the other hand, was training, unaware of the danger that was approaching the entire demonic kingdom. In the demonic world, a great revolution would begin to take place on the part of Arinisu, because she wanted to be the queen of all the demonic worlds. But no one had ever been able to defeat any Tamagami. For that very reason, she knew that she had no choice but to face Kakarot. If we have to create a new Majin Buu, we will do it, as we cannot allow a being from the outside to become the new Demon King.
I understand how you feel, but in the same way, creating a Majin Buu is extremely complex, and I cannot guarantee that I'll obey you in everything.
Don't worry, we'll see how we train him. But for the time being, please create a new Majin Buu. I trust you. I don't know why you want a new Majin Buu, but it's okay, we'll start right now. So please, accompany me both to the outside. Both had gone to the outside, in which that powerful witch would begin to create the powerful Majin Buu. So after a few minutes, a large mass of energy would grow all over the place, so it would immediately begin to condense. But to everyone's surprise, he was a warrior, which at first glance seemed to have a great fighting ability, because his build was thin, having great flexibility. Wow, this is amazing! This is my own Majin Buu, and the first mission I'm going to give you is to be able to beat that #1 Tamagami.
Hey, no, that's too fast. We have to put its skills to the first test, as a Tamagami is very powerful.
No, the original Majin Buu would be able to defeat the Tamagami in one fell swoop, if he was even able to put warriors at the level of a god of destruction in trouble. The new Majin Buu had headed towards the platform where the Tamagami #1 was, so he would instantly challenge him to a fight which the Tamagami would accept, while Arinisu was a spectator, thinking that his Majin Buu would take the victory. Meanwhile, Kakarot had been able to become much more powerful, being able to even reach the level 2 of the Super Saiyan, with which his aura was able to radiate multiple rays of energy.
Wow, this power I got's amazing! I'm sure with this new power I'll be able to beat the 2 remaining Tamagami.
Kakarot would start walking all over the castle in search of Degesu, but it would be impossible for him to find him, so he would instantly bump into Goma.
Goma, can you please tell me where Degesu is? I've been looking since morning and I'm not able to find him, much less feel his energy.
That's because Degesu has been going through every demon world in search of the demon's third eye. So don't worry, he'll be late. But tell me, how can I help you, my little Kakarot?
Wow! Is that the demonic third eye?
I can tell you're very curious. I'll explain. The third demonic eye is due to the power of that Demon King is able to achieve. But hundreds of years ago, the third eye was stolen, so it's not possible to use that incredible power again.
Wow, I really didn't know that. That means that if you're able to get a hold of the demonic third eye, you'll be able to release much more of its destructive power.
You're right, Kakarot.
That only gives me one more motivation to become more powerful. I want to be equal to much more power than you, Goma-sama.
Kakarot would leave with great enthusiasm to fight with Tamagami #2. While Goma would stare at him and gaze his represented the prize he had with Kakarot.
My little Kakarot, your power surpassed all of us in the 3 demonic worlds. If you want to rule all this, it wouldn't be complicated for you.
On the other hand, with the Battle of Majin Buu and the Tamagami #1, this incredible would start. However, although the speed of Majin Buu was good, his blows were extremely weak, since they weren't able to arise any effect against the Tamagami #1. And this was also because he was the most powerful Tamagami of all. Arinisu was a little surprised. She did not know that the Tamagami would be so powerful, or that her Majin Buu had been created with an extremely low. After a few minutes in which the Tamagami would start to have the advantage, Majin Buu would give up. For his part, Kakarot had been able to reach the island where the Tamagami number 2 was located.
Wow, you look much more powerful than the previous Tamagami. This will be interesting.
But if you're a kid, you better leave if you don't want to die.
That's what Tamagami number 3 told me, and he's been defeated. I was even able to get his Dragon Ball.
I doubt very much what you're telling me, since it is impossible for a simple child like you to be able to beat one of us. But I'll check it right now.
The Tamagami would try to communicate mentally with the Tamagami number 3, being useless since, despite still being alive, his communication was given through the Dragon Sphere.
Someone has really been able to beat him, but I can't believe that he was defeated by a simple child. In that case, I don't plan to trust you.
The Tamagami would get into a battle pose just like Kakarot. Since he did not want to use the Super Saiyan, he tried to defeat it simply with his base strength. At the moment, both warriors began to fight all over the Demon World number 3, so their battle would spread even throughout the sea of that world. However, with the power that Kakarot possessed at that time, it was extremely impossible for him to try to defeat the Tamagami number 2. So Kakarot would realize that his blows did not arise any effective. While the Tamagami would start to break through his defense much more often, Kakarot would be sent crashing to the ground, being dragged by a few mountains.
That hurt a little. Apparently with my base power, I'm not able to do anything against you. What do you think about this?
Instantly, Kakarot's hair would rise a little, while a few lightning bolts would scatter around his body. At the moment of a great scream, Kakarot was able to access the Super Saiyan, leaving his opponent surprised as his power had multiplied dozens of times.
This warrior was really able to beat the number 3 Tamagami, but with me it'll be totally different, of that I'm sure.
The Tamagami would take the battle much more seriously, but the difference in power was incredible, because Kakarot had been able to train this transformation all this time. So the energy drain had almost completely disappeared. Kakarot would begin to give him a beating, the Tamagami, which would try to do something against him, but it was completely impossible, since his power surpassed him by a lot. However, this furious Tamagami would expel the power of the Dragon Sphere, being able to get much more overwhelming, which forced Kakarot to step back a little.
I've never used this power before, so I hope you're ready, because in this form I'm not able to contain myself, and I can end your life with one blow.
That's what I'm waiting for. Come, I'm waiting for you.
The Tamagami would throw himself against Kakarot, but to his surprise, Kakarot was able to stop his great spear with one of his hands. However, several drops of blood would begin to slip down the spear, hinting that it would start to cost Kakarot a little. Instantly, their battle would resume quickly, in which they seemed to be much more even. But it was only momentary because on this occasion, the Tamagami was using all his power, while Kakarot, still there, was one more transformation left. The Tamagami would take advantage of an opening in Kakarot's defense, so with an incredible blow, he was able to send it flying, being able to create great chaos throughout the demonic world, just as mountains turned into simple dust and everything in its path was destroyed.
Damn, I hope that warrior was able to withstand that blow, as he really didn't want to end his life. He's a splendid warrior.
But out of all the incredible mess that had been created, a great light would start rising all over the place. Just like a great lightning would rise towards the top of the entire demon world, that's right, Kakarot had decided to access the Super Saiyan Phase 2.
You're amazing! I never thought that I would use my most powerful transformation to be able to face you, but now the real battle begins.
Do you still hide a lot more power? This will be a worthy battle.
Both immediately disappeared from the place, so both began to exchange hundreds of blows at a high speed. However, every time the Tamagami blocked Kakarot's blows, his arms were trembling due to the power that Kakarot was able to release. Instantly, the Tamagami would be thrown to the ground, while Kakarot would throw a powerful attack against Tamagami.
This is my last chance. I have to be able to dodge him and hit him with my minimum power to knock him out.
At the moment that the attack was a few centimeters from colliding with it, he was able to move at a flashing speed, appearing to one side of Kakarot. But at the moment that he would try to hit him, he was surprised, because Kakarot was able to stop his blow with only one of his hands.
I was able to see through your attack, so I knew he would try to hit me from my blind spot, but this time to end this.
The Tamagami, before being able to react, he had received an incredible blow to the stomach by Kakarot, which on this occasion was even able to knock him out of combat with a single blow.
Well, apparently I haven't been able to regulate my strength. It'd be better to take the Dragon Ball and leave towards the first demonic world.
Kakarot would take the Dragon Ball, but before leaving, he would start visiting the king of the second demonic world. For his part, Arinsu would arrive again with the witch, since this time the Majin Buu they created was completely useless. The powerful Majin Buu was said to be able to cause chaos and terror in all the 12 universes, but this useless one hasn't been able to even defeat a Tamagami.
I warned you that he was a very powerful warrior to be his first combat, but at this moment we believe in the Majin Buu, and we will use much more energy to make him more powerful.
It seems perfect to me. This Majin Buu has to be the perfect one, because otherwise I'll get angry. The Great Sorceress would start again with the formation of a new Majin Buu, but this time the amount of negative energy she was using was outrageous. So at the moment, a large mass of much larger energy would be formed, but instantly it would condense. It left everyone surprised because by its appearance, it seemed that it would be completely useless. That's right, the build of this Majin Buu seemed to not have the flexibility in combat that was needed, but at the moment that he expelled a little of his power, he was able to destroy everything in his step. It was not what I expected, but the destructive power he possesses is extremely incredible.
I hope this one works for you, because now of all the materials I had of the creation of the Majin Buus, I have been completely exhausted.
Yeah, don't worry, I am sure that we'll be able to do something. Arinsu would once again march towards the Tamagami number 1, giving him the order to fight against it. So the new Majin Buu would begin to approach the Tamagami, while the Tamagami would stare at him. I can't believe that this warrior is a warrior. I will defeat him with one blow. The Tamagami, with a quick movement, would prostrate himself in front of Majin Buu, but to the surprise of everything, he was able to dodge his blow with a quick movement, and was able to send him flying with a big headbutt. Wow, what was that? He was able to manage to hit the Tamagami? With the battle going on, Dbs was able to locate the demonic's third eye on an inhospitable planet of all the demonic worlds. So at the moment, he would quickly return to his king, but he was surprised to realize how his sister was with a warrior who was able to give battle to a Tamagami. This is bad. I'm sure Risu is able to look at all the power of the Dragon Balls to become the new queen of the demonic kingdom. Dbs would quickly return to Goma, giving him the demonic third eye. But while Goma was happy, Dbs would inform him everything that was happening. So instantly, Goma would give the order to close the connections between all the worlds. However, when Kakarot would try to return, it was impossible for him, since a powerful current was able to almost end his life. While for his part, Majin Buu was able to defeat the number 1 Tamagami, making Arinsu with the Dragon Ball, while Goma, upon realizing this, he will use his demonic third eye, beginning to raise his power in a monstrous way. It was a normal day in the life of the inhabitants of planet Earth. People were eating in restaurants, walking with their families. There were children playing when suddenly a giant lightning bolt was seen in the sky that caused a strong movement throughout the Earth's surface. Buildings collapsed. People could not stand up. Windows exploded. All this resulted in car accidents and injuries. At the moment, a child was going to be pierced by a giant glass that fell from a building. Very close by, we see how a being that we cannot distinguish who it is flies through the skies at great speed, rescuing people who were in danger due to the strong movement. At the precise moment when the child was about to die, that being rescues him, seeing how a huge piece of glass explodes against the ground. We see how this hooded being stands up from behind, revealing that it was none other than Goku, who had been hidden for a long time because Daishinkan and the angels wanted to see him dead. Goku, with a different appearance than the one we all know, after rescuing the boy, is amazed by the energy that emerges from the earth to the sky. We can see how Vegeta arrives at the place where Goku is together with the Z Warriors, who were still saving people from the disaster. Vegeta looks at Goku face to face and says, "Kakarot, insect,
Where have you been all this time?
At that moment, Gohan and Goten arrive and tell him,
Dad, where have you been?
"What happened to you, father?" All this happened while Piccolo, Krillin, Trunks, and Android 18 were rescuing the people affected by the movement. After having finished saving them, they arrive to where they are reunited with Goku and look at him very surprised. In a head-to-toe scan, we can see Goku's face very emaciated, with wounds and pronounced cheekbones because he had not tasted any kind of food for a long time. At that moment, we go back in time about 20 years ago. We see how Goku and his son Goten are walking together in the forest. Goku, talking to his son, says,
Hey, Goten, are you ready to fish today?
To which Goten replies,
Yes, Dad. Will you show me the fastest way to catch them?
Goku, happy for his son's enthusiasm, replies,
Of course, Goten, but this time I'm going to try something different. Watch this.
Goku dives into the water and after a short time comes out with a big jump with a huge fish moving on his hands. Goten, very surprised, says to his father,
Wow, Dad, how did you do that?
Goku, showing a very happy expression, says,
When I was little like you, Goten, I had to find my own food in order to live. You should try to give it a try.
Goten, very excited, says to his father,
I'll try.
And so Goten dives into the water to the joyful sight of his father, to which, on the first attempt, Goten fails to catch any fish. Seeing Goten's sad face, Goku encourages his son, saying,
Don't worry, Goten. It's a matter of practice and patience. The key is to be quick and not scare the fish.
So Goten dives in again, but this time it takes a long time to come out. When suddenly Goku feels a very powerful ki very close to where he was. Because of this, Goku worried about his son's dives in search of him. Once in the water, he sees Goten fainted and next to him a very strange artifact. Goku, worried about the state in which he found his son, swims to rescue him. At the moment, he was about to lift his son in his arms, ready to go to the surface, the strange artifact begins to emit a very sharp sound that only Goku hears. Wu, with a face of confusion and pain, tries to lift his son, but suddenly the artifact comes off the ground and permeates his chest. Once on his chest, the artifact stops emitting that strange sound and Goku stops feeling the ki of a moment ago. Goku does not take importance to what had happened to him and worried about his son. He lifts him up to get him out of the water. Once outside, Goku puts his son on the ground to revive him, but suddenly an unknown being appeared to him. This being had a greenish coat, blue hair with black tips, and it was a very strange appearance. But it did not seem to be something real. It looked like an illusion. Goku, upon realizing this being, became alert and put his son in good protection. After that, addressing the being, he asks him,
Who are you? What do you want here?
This being, without uttering a word, rushes at high speed towards Goku, who in an act of reflex manages to dodge the first blow. But the speed of the stranger exceeds him by far. Because of that, after dodging the first blow, the unknown being lunges with a kick to the head, which Goku barely manages to block, leaving his stomach exposed, where he takes the opportunity to impact a direct punch, automatically leaving Goku out of air, and thus returns to lunge with a blow to the nape of the neck. Goku, when he was about to lose consciousness, hears a voice in the distance that says,
Apparently this is my best guest that could touch me.
Saying this in a sarcastic way. I hope my colleagues are in good condition. After hearing these words, Goku faints. A few minutes after the fleeting confrontation, Goku regains consciousness and realizing that the unknown being was no longer in the place, he looks for Goten, and when he finds him, he begins to unexpectedly and repeatedly call his name to make him react. Seeing that calling him had no effect, he feels his breathing and notices that he was almost not breathing. He creates an energy sphere in his hand and places it on Goten's chest. Once Goten revives the energy from his father, he reacts and spurts water from his mouth. Goten, with a puzzled expression, asks his father what had happened, to which Goku says,
I have the same question for you. What happened?
Goten tells him that at the precise moment he was about to capture the fish, he felt attracted to the artifact, which also tried to impregnate in his chest. At the time, Goten felt a strong source of energy that ran through every part of his body, which was very difficult to control, and felt how that strange energy weakened him until he lost consciousness and fainted. Goku in his thoughts, and that he also felt the same strange and very powerful energy running through his body, and worried about his son, asked him if he still felt that energy inside him. Goku calmly and a little puzzled told him no, that he only felt that when the artifact was trying to permeate him. While this was happening on Earth, Whis and Beerus went to the Kingdom of Everything to talk to Daishoken, since they had noticed him very tense and worried. Once they were already in the Kingdom of Everything, Daishoken appears with a very serious expression, while Whis and Beerus bow to him to show respect. Daishoken, relieved to see that Whis and Beerus were with him, tells them something very strange and dangerous is about to happen. Whis, with a puzzled expression, asks, "What is it, Father? We'd noticed a certain tension in the air as we reached the realm of the whole." Beerus, yawning without realizing the seriousness of the fright, says to him, "Trouble again? What could be so dangerous to make Daishoken so worried?" "Serious? And worried, the High Priest?" To which Daishoken replies, "Yes, I'm afraid so. A powerful entity has resurfaced, once we have not faced in a long time." Whis, with a very serious expression, says to him, "An unknown entity? Could it be one of the beings we left sealed away long ago?" "It is possible, Whis. Its energies are as dark as they are disconcerting. I cannot identify the source with certainty, but its power is overwhelming." Beerus, frowning, says, "Why should I worry about it? If it's that strong, I'll go and destroy it." Daishoken, with a very serious expression, explains, "It's not that simple, Lord Beerus. This entity seems to have the ability to change even the most ancient gods. We cannot underestimate it." Whis thoughtfully asks his father, "How do you suggest we deal with this situation, Father?" "We need to gather information before we act rashly. Whis, Beerus, I trust you with the task of investigating. Find out all you can about this entity and any weaknesses it may have." Beerus, smiling confidently, exclaimed, "Good, good. A little action won't hurt." Nodding, Whis replies, "We will be on our way, Daishoken, but be aware that if this entity threatens our universe, we will not hesitate to take drastic measures." "I understand, Whis. May wisdom guide your actions, and may you return with the information we need." After that conversation, Whis and Beerus depart for the hitherto unknown destination, while Daishoken watches with concern, aware of the gravity of the situation looming in the realm of everything. As they were on their way back to Earth to ask for Goku and Vegeta's help, Whis recalls that when they were on their way to the realm of everything, he sensed a very strong and dangerous ki on planet Earth. Halfway through his quest in the universe, he stops and, confused, Beerus says to Whis, "What's wrong? Why are you stopping?" Whis, very serene, says to Beerus, "Oh, my dear Lord Beerus, it turns out on our way to the realm of everything, I detected a rather intriguing presence." Yawning, Beerus asks, "A mysterious entity? We didn't need to get any of what Daishoken told us." Whis, with a nervous smile, replies, "Don't worry, Mr. Beerus. This time it doesn't seem to be a direct threat. I just felt a fleeting flash of power, something that crossed our path." Beerus frowns at Whis. "And you didn't give it any importance? Isn't that what Daishoken was talking about?" "Well, the truth is, I didn't consider it an immediate threat. It was like a flash of power energy, but it disappeared as quickly as it came. It didn't seem to have any hostile intentions." Beerus, thinking about the situation, asks, "So what shall we do then? Does Daishoken want us to investigate something like this?" "Yes, but I think the best option is to go ahead with our main mission, to find out what the entity has surfaced. The fleeting presence may be a mere detail compared to what awaits us." So Whis and Beerus went on their way through the universe, looking for the entity Daishoken mentioned without giving so much importance to what happened on Earth. Back on Earth, the precise moment Goku rescued his son Goten, Goku, confused by what had happened to his son and the strange artifact that had impregnated in his chest, told Goten, "Let's go home immediately." As they flew on their way home, Goku tries to sense Vegeta's ki so he could teleport with him, as soon as he left his son with his mother Chi-Chi. At that moment, we see how Vegeta was already gathered by the Z Warriors, Krillin, Android 18, Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Chaos, Gohan, Future Trunks, and Master Roshi, who were talking about the strong and dark energy they had felt. Goku and Goten arrive home, and his mother, worried because they had taken a long time to return, runs to Goten and says, "Goten, son, are you alright?" To which Goten replies, "Don't worry, Mom, we're fine." Chi-Chi raises her head to Goku and notices that he's very serious. She lowers her gaze a little and notices the strange artifact he had on his chest. Chi-Chi asks him, "Goku, what's that you have there? Are you alright?" Goku immediately changes his expression with a fake smile reply. "Oh, don't worry.
It's nothing important. Chi-Chi in a very insistent way. Goku, don't fool me. What happened? This thing I have on my chest. This very strange artifact I have on my chest. Well, it's a strange artifact, but I'm fine, really. I'm going to find out what it is and we'll get on with our lives.
Chi-Chi, worried about Goku, hugs him and says, "Promise me you'll come back, Goku." To which Goku, with a smile, answers her yes. While he was about to make the teleportation, Goku says goodbye, saying to Goten,
"Take care of your mother. I'll be right back."
He teleports. Moments before Goku arrived to meeting the Z Warriors, as they were at Bulma's house, they were talking about what they had felt a moment ago. Vegeta, with a very serious expression, asks,
Did anyone else feel that dark energy? I can't identify it, but it's disturbing.
Piccolo, frowning, replies,
Yes, I felt it. It's as if it disappeared immediately as soon as we felt it. Something's not right.
Gohan, very worried, says,
"Dad, Goten are with my mother. We should look for them."
At that moment, Goku appears in front of them through teleportation and says very seriously,
"Guys, I felt a strange presence. Something happened with Goten, but I rescued him."
Piccolo, analyzing everything that happened, notices something strange on Goku's body and asks him,
Goku, what's that artifact on your chest?
"That's what I want to find out. But before that, I need to tell you something." To everyone's expectant and uncertain gaze, he says, "The strange energy you felt came from this artifact in my chest."
Vegeta frowns and asks,
How's it possible? Does that device emit that energy?
Goku, somewhat worried, nods and says,
"It seems so. The moment I rescued Goten, this artifact permeated my chest, and I began to feel an incredible amount of pressure coursing through every part of my body."
Piccolo, thinking about everything Goku was telling them, asks,
And how did it get in your chest?
"The artifact was underwater right next to Goten, who had fainted. As soon as I was approaching it, it emitted a very sharp sound that didn't allow me to get close to Goten. Despite that, I managed to get close, and out of nowhere, it jumped in front of my chest to stay there. After everything that had happened with Goten, I tried to take it off, but when I did it again, it came back to permeate my chest. We must find out what this artifact is and why it has such a great amount of power. I'm counting on you."
Vegeta, determined, says,
Let's do it. We won't let any threat catch us off guard.
Future Trunks earnestly tells everyone,
"I agree. Together, we'll figure out what's going on."
Goku thanks all his friends for the support they were giving him, but at that moment he changes his joyful expression to one of seriousness, as he remembered what had happened just before he lost consciousness. Gohan, noticing the sudden change in his father's expression, asks him,
"Dad, what's wrong? Is there anything else you must tell us?"
Vegeta adds,
Insect, you're not hiding anything from us, are you?
Goku remembered what had happened at that moment. With an expression of concern and anguish, he tells them about the fight he had with an unknown being, which exceeds his strength by far. And he remembers that the entity mentioned that he had colleagues that he had hoped would be alright. Piccolo, with fear but serene, says to Goku,
Are you sure of what you're saying? For what you are telling us is very dangerous. If he surpasses your strength by far, in that case we wouldn't stand a chance against him. We'd be a hindrance rather than a support, Goku.
Goku, after hearing that, tells him what he felt in the confrontation.
The moment the unknown being appeared, I felt the same amount and type of power and the dark ki that ran through my body as the strange artifact permeated my chest.
As soon as Goku finished telling what had happened, as soon as he got out of the water, Piccolo came up with an idea. It wasn't that far-fetched, but he could explain what the strange artifact was and why he was facing the unknown being. Piccolo, observing the artifact, turns to Goku, saying,
This looks familiar. It may be like a containment urn, like the ones we used at the Mafuba to seal powerful beings.
Surprised Goku,
"Really, Piccolo? Do you think this could be something like that?"
Krillin, looking at the artifact,
"An artifact like this one, used with the Mafuba on Goku's chest? Since when did battles become so complicated?" "There's always something new with you Saiyans."
Master Roshi, somewhat excited, but at the same time serious, exclaimed,
"Ah, Mafuba! I remember when we sealed King Piccolo with that. Do you think Goku has such a strong enemy inside?"
Future Trunks, analyzing what had happened, says,
"It makes sense. The Mafuba urns are powerful devices to contain evil energies. Could this artifact have sealed something?"
I don't care if it's from the Mafuba or anywhere else. I just want to know how to get rid of this thing once and for all. It's a possibility. The urns we use to keep very strong enemies under control. But why did it attach yourself to Goku?
I'm not sure, but what I do know is that this energy is linked to a very powerful entity.
Whatever it is, if it's linked to that artifact, we cannot underestimate it. So, what do you plan to do, Kakarot?
At that moment, the Kaio-sama of the North telepathically communicates with Goku to tell him that he had information about the powerful energy that they felt and the mysterious artifact that permeated his chest. Kaio-sama tells him to get to his planet quickly.
First, we need information. Kaio-sama has information about this artifact and the being that might be inside it. We must go to Kaio-sama so we can find out what we're dealing with.
Vegeta nods and Goku continues.
Exactly, but first, I need your help. If there are any more entities like this, the Earth could be in danger. And with this connection to the artifact, I could put them at risk. Therefore, I'll only go to Kaio-sama to get the information to get rid of this artifact.
Kakarot, don't even think that you'll do this alone. I'll go with you, insect. I can't accept that you become stronger than me.
Goku accepts and asks him to put his hand on his shoulder. Once Goku and Vegeta left, the Z-Warriors sensed unknown presences on the planet, so they split into groups and flew off at high speed to go investigate. With the re-evaluation that the artifact at Goku's chest might be like a containment urn, similar to those used in Mafuba, the Z-Warriors faced an increasingly complex and dangerous situation. Uncertainty about what such an artifact contains and how it is connected to the mysterious dark energy fills them with worry. While Goku and Vegeta were to where Kaio-sama and the Z-Warriors went to investigate the unknown presences they had detected in space, Whis and Beerus, after having traversed much of space, felt a strong amount of dark energy, so they immediately head to where it was. As they are about to reach the source of the dark energy, the pressure in the air becomes more intense as they get closer, and the unknown entity awaits their arrival.
Why do I feel like this is going to be more complicated than we thought?
Mr. Beerus, the information we gain here could be crucial to understanding the threat we face on Earth.
The unknown entity, surrounded by a dark aura, reveals itself in front of Whis and Beerus. Its presence is overwhelming and a sinister laugh echoes in space. Unknown entity mockingly welcomes them, saying,
I expected your arrival. You took longer than I expected. Do not underestimate the gods. We're here to stop any threat that endangers our universe.
Before any confrontation, can you tell us who you are and what you're doing here?
Oh, that's funny. I'm known as Ryuk, disciple of the Devourer of Worlds. I have come to free the Master, the most powerful being who ever lived.
The expression on Whis' and Beerus' faces become much more serious upon hearing Raiku's name.
Raikou, that name rings a bell.
Raikou is an ancient threat, Lord Beerus. His master, he and the other disciples were sealed away a millennia ago due to his unquenchable thirst for power and destruction.
So it looks like we have a problem. This time it won't be as easy sealing him again.
The space fills with palpable tension as Ryuk, surrounded by a dark and malevolent aura, confronts Whis and Beerus. The dark energy emanating from him seems to distort the very fabric of space around him.
Problem, you say? You are correct, little god. The Master has been patiently awaiting your release, and now with my arrival, that time has finally come.
Beerus moves into combat stance with a determined expression on his face, while Whis remains composed but alert.
I have no time for games. If your master is a threat, we'll stop you here and now.
Tell us more about your master. Understanding his motivations might help us find a peaceful solution.
Ryuk chuckles mischievously, revealing his sharp fangs, then disappears in a dark flash before reappearing behind Beerus with astonishing speed.
There's nothing they can do to stop the Master's inevitable resurgence. But before that, they could entertain me.
The battle begins. Ryuk throws a swift punch towards Beerus, but the Destroyer Guy nimbly dodges and responds with an energy punch that Ryuk blocks easily. Meanwhile, Whis watches carefully, waiting for the right moment to intervene. Ryuk's speed is impressive, but Beerus manages to keep up. They exchange blows and energy blasts in a combat that seems to defy the laws of space itself. Ryuk's dark energy distorts reality around him, making its impact more dangerous and intense.
Lord Beerus, your speed is amazing, but that dark energy is problematic. I suggest you be careful with your movements.
Beerus nods as he dodges an enemy attack and counterattacks with an energy wave. Ryuk, undeterred, vanishes and reappears in front of Whis, challenging him to enter the fight.
And you, assistant of the god, will you dare to face me?
Whis smiles serenely and disappears in a flash, only to reappear behind Ryuk. "I have no intention of fighting, but if that's what you wish." Before Whis finishes his sentence, Ryuk turns around and launches a fierce attack towards him. Whis, with his extraordinary speed, dodges each blow with grace. Space convulsed with the fury of the cosmic confrontation between Whis, Beerus, and Ryuk. Each move shattered reality itself. As Ryuk's dark energy and the god's divine blast intertwined in a demonstration of opposing forces, Ryuk, his ominous figure shrouded in a dark aura, moved with breathtaking speed. His sinister left echoed through the emptiness of space, challenging the gods who faced him.
This guy's faster than I thought.
As Beerus' words fade away, Ryuk disappears in the blink of an eye and reappears in front of him with a punch charged with dark energy. Beerus manages to block the attack, but the force of impact sends shockwaves through space. Ryuk breaks away from Beerus with a smirk, and in a flash lunges towards Whis. His movements were fluid. Whis, on the other hand, moves gracefully, dodging each blow with the grace of a cosmic dancer. This dark power is intriguing, but it is out of balance. Ryuk, frustrated by Whis' evasive ability, concentrates his dark energy in his hands and launches it as a flare. Whis responds by creating an energy barrier, but the resulting collision sends shockwaves through space, shaking nearby stars. Beerus takes advantage of Ryuk's distraction and lunges at him with a punch charged with divine energy. Ryuk blocks the blow, but the resulting force causes an explosion that creates the ephemeral supernova in the cosmos. The fight continues with unmatched speed. Ryuk demonstrates his skill in anticipating the gods' moves, while Beerus and Whis unleash their divine power to counter the darkness that threatens to engulf them. In a moment of pause, Ryuk grins mischievously and his dark aura begins to intensify. A transformation was underway. The darkness concentrates around his body, forming a sort of dark cocoon that breaks, revealing a transformed figure. Now Ryuk has evolved. His previous form pales in comparison to the manifestation of his current power. His figure has become more imposing, with twisted shadows dancing around him as if they were extensions of his own essence. Sharp fangs glow with dark radiance, and his eyes emit a malevolent light.
Ha ha ha! This is just a glimpse of my true power.
Beerus and Whis exchange a worried glance. The pressure in the air becomes even more intense. Ryuk, now in his transformation form, launches himself towards the gods with outstanding speed. Beerus tries to counterattack with a sphere of divine energy, but Ryuk dodges each projectile with ease, moving through the bursts of light with supernatural agility. Meanwhile, Whis stands in reverse, watching the fight with analytical eyes. In a quick blink, Ryuk appears in front of Beerus and unleashes a series of vicious blows. The sonic sounds of punches and echoes kicked through space as the gods and devourer of worlds, discipled, plunge into a frenzy of combat. Beerus, struggling to keep up with Ryuk's speed, takes a direct punch to the stomach that sends him drifting into space. Before he can recover, however, Ryuk lunges at him and blasts him with a barrage of blows. The situation becomes even more complicated when Ryuk, in a ruthless act, concentrates dark energy in his hand and drives it through Beerus' abdomen. The Destroyer God lets out a roar of pain as darkness spreads from the point of impact. Whis, seeing the stark reality, springs into action. His figure flashes in space as he stands in front of Ryuk, blocking his attacks.
I cannot allow you to harm my lord in this way.
Whis' divine energy collides with Ryuk's darkness in a show of cosmic power. The battle intensifies and the fate of the universe hangs in the balance as the confrontation between light and darkness reaches its climax. The confrontation between Whis and Ryuk intensified as space became the stage for their fierce cosmic battle. The clash of divine and dark energies echoed in the void of the universe, creating ripples that stretched to the far reaches of space.
You think you can stop me, Whis?
The master of divine martial arts, Whis, maintained his serene composure as he resisted the onslaught of the devourer of worlds disciple. His divine aura glowed brightly, fighting against the darkness that threatened to envelop him. Whis, with a wave of his hand, unleashed a blast of divine energy that forced Ryuk back momentarily. However, the smile on the dark being's face revealed that he was far from giving up.
Ryuk, your quest for power will only lead to destruction.
Ryuk, releasing a sinister laugh, launched himself at Whis with renowned furiosity. Each exchange of blows was like a clash of titans, with the fate of the universe hanging in the balance. Meanwhile, Beerus was recovering from the wounds inflicted by Ryuk, watching the battle with critical eyes. The darkness that had pierced his abdomen was beginning to dissipate thanks to divine regeneration, but the experience had left an indelible mark.
This creature's more formidable than I imagined.
And determined not to be a mere spectator, Beerus joined the battle with renowned determination. His figure flashed with divine energy that rivaled Whis', creating a spectacle of light and shadow in space. The three powerful beings engaged in a cosmic dance, with flashes of divine and dark energy illuminating the vastness of the universe. Ryuk, without losing his smirk, took advantage of his transformation to increase his speed and strength, challenging the gods with every move. The combat reached new levels of complexity when Whis, in a flash of cunning, unleashed a divine teleportation technique. He moved at the speed of thought, appearing and disappearing at different points in space, keeping Ryuk on the defensive.
You can't dodge me forever, Whis.
As Whis and Ryuk clashed in space, Beerus focused on channeling his divine energy. The Destroyer God sank into a meditative state, concentrating on unleashing his true power. Beerus' transformation was gradual but impactful. His figure was enveloped in a golden aura, and his eyes shone with the intensity of a star. Divine power flowed through him, manifesting in a form that only the mightiest gods could attain, allowing the grievous wound left by Ryuk to be healed.
It's time to put an end to this.
The reborn Beerus lunged towards Ryuk with unparalleled speed. Each blow he delivered was imbued with overwhelming divine energy. Ryuk, though powerful, was overwhelmed by the onslaught of the Destroyer God. Meanwhile, Whis continued his cosmic ballet, defying the laws of space and time with his speed and agility. Every move was calculated, every blow strategically executed. The battle reached its climax as Beerus and Whis coordinated, combining their attacks to create a symphony of divine energy that enveloped Ryuk. The pressure in the air became almost tangible, and the cosmos itself seemed to rumble with the intensity of the conflict. "Do you have anything to say, Ryuk?" Ryuk, gravely wounded but still defiant, let out a shrill laugh. His figure writhed as the dark energy tried to resist the overwhelming pressure of the gods.
This is not the end, gods. My master will be released, and his darkness will devour all.
Beerus, showing no mercy, unleashed a sphere of concentrated divine energy and hurled it directly at Ryuk. The resulting explosion illuminated the space, dispelling the darkness that had lingered. Silence fell over the space as the gods watched the wreckage of the battle. Ryuk lay motionless, defeated, but not destroyed. His threat had been contained, at least for now.
This is not over. We need to find out more about his master and any threat that may arise.
Whis nodded, sharing the same determination. The reality of the danger that stalked the universe became more apparent, and the gods knew they had to prepare to face even greater challenges. The cosmic explosion that marked the end of the fierce battle dissipated into the vast space, leaving Whis and Beerus floating in momentary tranquility. As they regained their composure, a flash of gold announced the arrival of Daishinkan, the High Priest, who appeared before them with a serene but worried expression.
I see you've dealt with the threat, dear Whis and Beerus.
Yes, Father. Ryuk has been contained, at least for now.
But this isn't the end, is it?
Daishinkan smiled wisely as he held in his hands a strange artifact, a glowing sphere that emanated an energy like the one they felt during the battle.
This is what I wanted to show you. It's known as the Sphere of Divine Containment, an ancient artifact capable of sealing beings of great power and darkness.
Beerus and Whis watched intently as Daishinkan explained the function of the sphere and how it was used to keep the most dangerous entities in the universe at bay.
This artifact has been kept in safekeeping for eons. It's only brought to light in extreme situations. The dark energy they felt came from one of these sealed entities, released by Ryuk's recklessness.
Whis and Beerus exchanged worried glances as they assimilated the information.
Who are these sealed entities? They are beings from the distant past, fallen gods and creatures whose thirst for power make them uncontrollable. This sphere of divine containment as our safeguard against their resurgence.
So, Ryuk was one of them, and his master?
His master is the Devourer of Worlds, an even more ancient and dangerous being. His release could jeopardize existence itself.
The gravity of the situation hung heavy in the air as Daishenka continued to explain the importance of keeping the sphere of divine containment safe and sealing Ryuk again.
Now that Ryuk has been contained, it's crucial that he returns to his place of safekeeping, but we also need to get information from him. We need to know more about the Devourer of Worlds' plans and any threats that may arise.
Beerus, Whis, and Daishenkin shared a determined look. The task was not complete. There is still work to be done.
If interrogating Ryuk could give us answers, we'll do so, but we must proceed with caution.
The information we gathered will be essential to prepare for future threats. Also, we need to reinforce the security of the sphere of divine containment. Daishenkin, with a nod of his head, showed his approval of the god's decision.
Very well. Let us return to the realm of all and set preparations in motion. The safety of the universe depends on us.
The three gods, with the glowing sphere in hand, teleported to the realm of all, ready to confront the shadows of the past and ensure the stability of the universe. The spheres of divine containment, now more than ever, became the beacon of hope amidst the darkness that threatened to emerge. Meanwhile on Earth, the Z warriors, divided into groups, scattered into the sky in the direction of the unknown presences they had sensed on the planet of the northern Kaio-sama. In the air, they moved at impressive speeds, ready to face any threat that crossed their path. On Kaio-sama's planet, Goku and Vegeta appeared thanks to teleportation, scarring Kaio-sama with serious and determined expressions. Kaio-sama, who was waiting for them, welcomed them with nervous gestures.
Goku, Vegeta, I'm glad you came so quickly. The information I have is crucial.
We need to know what this artifact is and what threat it poses.
We don't have time to waste. What do you know?
Kaio-sama nodded and led the Saiyans to his small home on the planet. Once inside, they unfolded an ancient scroll that revealed information about a mystical artifact known as the Cosmic Core of Containment. He explained that this artifact was used by the ancient gods to seal entities of great evil and power, preventing them from wreaking havoc in the universe.
This artifact is so ancient that there are hardly any records of its creation. It was thought to be lost, but apparently all this time it was hidden on planet Earth.
And how is it supposed to be sealed?
Tell us at once.
Kaio-sama explained that the Cosmic Core of Containment could be opened by a being of great power, but in doing so, the seal would be transferred to the first being it encountered. If the seal was not broken immediately, it would merge with that being, granting it power, but also binding it to the duty of keeping the evil sealed.
And how the heck did it end up in Goku's chest?
That's the puzzling thing. It seems that this artifact shows Goku as its carrier.
Goku, with an expression of astonishment, began to grasp the magnitude of the situation. He was now the bearer of an artifact containing an entity of indescribable evil. So you mean I'm now responsible for keeping this evil under control?
What an honor, Kakarot! It seems you've become the guardian of evil.
But there is something else. The being sealed inside the urn is incredibly powerful. He is known as Bahamut, the Devourer of Worlds. It is an ancient entity that has consumed entire worlds.
The gravity of the situation was reflected on the faces of Goku and Vegeta. Not only did they have to face the mysterious artifact in Goku's chest, but also the dark entity sealed within. Then we have an important task. We must keep Bahamut under control and, at the same time, figure out how to free ourselves from this burden.
Yes, make no mistake, Kakarot. If this threatens Earth, I'll not hesitate to stop you.
Meanwhile on Earth, the Z warriors faced unusual pressure as they prepared for combat. Each group was ready to deal with the entities they had sensed at Bulma's house, which were minions of Bahamut, the Devourer of Worlds. The dark energy surrounding these minions was intense, and the very air seemed to vibrate with their malevolent presence. The group of Krillin, Master Roshi, and Android 18 encountered one of Bahamut's 4 minions standing on the ground, humanoids with a black, malevolent aura. The Z warriors prepared for the confrontation with Krillin, Android 18, and Master Roshi, adopting combat stances. In a chaotic dance of dark energy and flickering explosions, the confrontation between the Z Warriors and Bahamut's henchmen unfolded on the cosmic stage of Earth's defense. Krillin, Android 18, and Master Roshi, three warriors of varying experience and skills, faced a dark menace that threatened to plunge the planet into an abyss of destruction. The stage was permeated with a tense atmosphere as the three warriors assumed combat stances, ready to defend the Earth against Bahamut's henchmen, a being whose malevolent aura eclipsed even the intensity of the sun. "I don't know who you are, but will not allow you to harm our planet!" Krillin's words echoed in the air, charged with determination. Bahamut's henchman, a humanoid with a black malevolent aura, advanced with ferocity, launching a dark attack. Krillin, in a display of amazing agility, dodged the attacks, moving like a gust of wind across the battlefield. Kaizen! In the blink of an eye, Krillin created his signature energy disc and launched it towards the henchman. Kaizen spun furiously, cutting through the air as it headed towards its target. However, the henchman displayed unmatched skill as he dodged the spinning attack, moving with an agility that defied comprehension. The henchman counterattacked with a series of dark, swift strikes, but Krillin was unwilling to give up. With precise and quick movements, he blocked most of the attacks, responding with quick and precise counterattacks. The combat dance between Krillin and the henchman painted a picture of speed and skill, where each movement could change the tide of the battle. Meanwhile, Master Roshi, the aged warrior with vast experience in martial arts, watched the confrontation with a knowing smile. He adopted a firm posture, waiting for his moment to intervene.
You've chosen the wrong man to fight. I've seen more battles than you can imagine.
As Bahamut's henchmen lunged towards him, Master Roshi moved with unique grace, dodging the attacks with precise movements and counterattacking with a series of energy blasts. The old man's experience and cunning proved to be a formidable challenge for the henchman, who was forced to deploy all his skills to confront the master. On the other hand, Android 18, the android warrior with formidable strength, advanced towards the henchman with determination. Her eyes glowed with an intense blue light as she unleashed her powerful android energy. Do not underestimate the strength of androids. With a quick wave of his hands, Android 18 launched a wave of energy towards the henchman. The latter, though impressed by the ferocity of the android warrior, showed no signs of recoiling. Instead, it lunged toward her with surprising speed, throwing dark blows that Android 18 dodged with cybernetic agility. The battle between Android 18 and the minion was a display of strength and speed, the bursts of energy lighting up the sky. Both fought with an intensity that could shake the foundations of the universe. Meanwhile, Android 18, a formidable warrior created by Dr. Gero, was ready to demonstrate her immense power. She charged her energy, her body radiating a red glow, and lunged towards the henchman with determination. Don't underestimate me. I'm stronger than you think. The henchman responded with a sudden surge of his dark aura, unleashing a surge of energy that pushed Android 18 back. The force of the impact created a shockwave, kicking up dust and debris in its wake. The battle was intense. Every move had a purpose and every attack resonated with the Z Warriors' determination to protect their home. Explosions of energy followed one after another, lighting up the battlefield like fireworks in the dark night of space. However, the true magnitude of the threat was yet to be fully revealed. This henchman was only one of 4 sent by Bahamut, and the fate of Earth depended on the ability of the Z Warriors to pass this first test. On the horizon, the other 3 minions awaited their turn, ready to plunge into the fray and test their bravery and skills of Earth's defenders. The intensity of the battle increased with each moment, and while Krillin, Android 18, and Master Roshi fought against the henchmen, other groups of Z Warriors faced similar challenges in different locations around the planet. The fate of the Earth hung in the delicate balance of the unfolding cosmic battle, and each warrior was determined to give everything for the survival of his home. While the first group of warriors were defending Earth on Kaio-sama's planet in the small house, it was permeated with a tense atmosphere and solemnity as Goku, Vegeta, and Kaio-sama were immersed in the gravity of the situation. The ancient scrolls spread out on the table revealed the secrets of an ancient artifact, and the weight now rested on Goku's shoulders. So you mean I'm now responsible for keeping this evil under control? The responsibility rested on Goku like a heavy mantle. The cosmic core of Containment, that ancestral artifact, had chosen Goku as its carrier, and within it was Bahamut, the devourer of worlds. The gravity of the situation was reflected in the eyes of the Saiyan, who was already mentally preparing himself for a colossal task ahead.
What an honor, Kakarot. Seems you've become the guardian of evil.
The irony of Vegeta's voice did not go unnoticed. While his words might have been sarcastic, the determination in his eyes indicated that, despite any jokes, they were in this together.
But there's something else. The being inside the artifact is incredibly powerful.
The information left Goku and Vegeta silent. Bahamut, the name echoed in their minds like the distant echo of a coming storm. Consuming entire worlds was a threat they could not underestimate.
Then we have an important task. We must keep Bahamut under control and at the same time figure out how to free ourselves from this burden.
The pact was sealed. Together, Goku and Vegeta would take on the challenge of containing Bahamut and discovering a way to free themselves from the burden they now carried. The remaining question was how they would confront the dark entity that lay in Goku's chest. But before they could formulate a plan, a vibration in the air alerted them to the arrival of others.
It seems your friends are in trouble. Go help them.
Goku and Vegeta nodded in a gesture and understanding and, with serious expressions, headed for the door. With a mighty leap, they launched themselves into the sky, ready to join the battle raging on planet Earth. At the moment that Kaiosama gave the information to Goku and Vegeta, on Earth appeared another henchman of Bahamut who met with the duo of Tenshinhan. This henchman of Bahamut seemed to be an expert in dark martial arts. He moved with supernatural agility, challenging the Z warriors with swift and lethal movements.
Do not underestimate the strength of humans. Kikoho!
Tenshinhan launched his powerful Kikoho attack, creating an explosion of energy that enveloped Bahamut's henchmen.
This is no ordinary enemy. I must use my powers wisely.
Chaos unleashing his magic, creating illusions and distractions to confuse Bahamut's henchmen. The battle was unfolding on multiple levels, with the Z warriors fighting against this enemy who seemed to understand the combat arts in unexpected ways. At that moment, realizing that the power with which they were facing Bahamut's henchmen was not enough to stop him, thanks to Chaos's distraction, they took the opportunity to try to escape. But they did not count on the great speed of their rival who, realizing that they wanted to escape, caught up with them, disappearing from the place where he was and appearing in front of them. At the precise moment in which he was about to eliminate Chaos and Tenshinhan, two people appeared between them and their rival Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta, with their gazes fixed on Bahamut's henchmen, shared a silent understanding. The gravity of the situation was clear on their faces, but there was no room for doubt.
Tenshinhan! Chaos! Go and warn the others about this threat. We need time to deal with this.
We don't want them to get hurt because of us. Go! We'll take care of this.
Tenshinhan and Chaos nodded, recognizing the determination in the Saiyan's voices. Wasting no time, they sped away, leaving Goku and Vegeta facing their formidable opponent. Bahamut's henchman, emanating overwhelming darkness, showed no signs of backing down. His eyes glowed with malice, aware of the battle ahead. The Z warriors were prepared to face any threat, and this would be no exception.
It's clear that this won't be easy.
That's what makes it exciting. Let's do it, Kakarot.
Goku and Vegeta charged at Bahamut's henchmen with impressive speed. At the moment when both warriors were fighting a battle that could change the fate of Earth, this being who presented himself as Bahamut's henchman, this dark entity with a humanoid shape but a bird's head, was going to be surprised by the abilities of the Saiyan warriors. In the middle of the combat, of all the show of strength between both warriors and this dark being, Takagami, with a confused face but confident that his strength was far superior to that of these earthly warriors, thought,
I'm amazed at the strength these earthly beings possess. I guess they deserve to know who'll kill them.
Then at that moment he told them with a malevolent smile, he said,
I've been surprised by warriors. That's why they deserve to know my name. I'm Takagami, sacred god of darkness, follower of the supreme god Bahamut.
Goku, very surprised of what he's hearing, said,
More gods?
This sounds very dangerous, and it's exciting.
Bug, shut up! The life of this planet's at risk, and you get excited about a being that's very powerful.
The speed of the combat accelerated as Goku and Vegeta pounced on Takagami. The energy in the air became dense, vibrating with the intensity of the impending confrontation. Takagami, with his dark aura, stood his ground, disdainfully watching the approaching Saiyans. Do you think you have a chance against the power of darkness? Goku and Vegeta continued their advance, wasting no time in unnecessary words. In the blink of an eye, they were in front of Takagami, unleashing a gale of blows. Takagami, with surprising agility, dodged many of the attacks, but some managed to land, demonstrating the strength of the Saiyans. Don't underestimate the power of a Saiyan!
Come on, God of Darkness. Show us what you can do.
Takagami responded to the challenge, unleashing his own fury. His speed and combat skills were amazing, deflecting the blows of Goku and Vegeta with subtle movements. The battle turned into a whirlwind of punches, kicks, and ki blasts, lighting up the sky with flashes of light and darkness.
They're just insects in front of the power of eternal darkness!
Goku in his base state and Vegeta, with their pride as the Saiyan Prince, continued to put pressure on Takagami. However, as the battle progressed, Takagami began to reveal more of his true power. His dark aura intensified, and his form subtly changed, revealing a transformation that increased his power exponentially.
This can't be good.
Goku, always excited for a challenge, added, "Vegeta, get ready! This is getting interesting." Takagami's increased power created an overwhelming pressure on the battlefield. His speed increased dramatically, and his strength eclipsed that of the Saiyans. However, Goku and Vegeta were not intimidated. With determination, they raised their own power of levels, taking the battle to new heights. The fighting continued with swift attacks and explosions shaking the battlefield. Goku and Vegeta, now in more advanced forms, kept up the pace, challenging Takagami at every turn. However, despite his efforts, the sacred god of darkness proved to be a formidable adversary.
This is entertaining, but your resistance is useless. The darkness consumes everything.
Goku and Vegeta, without giving up, exchanged determined glances. "Vegeta, it's time to go further!"
Huh, of course, Kakarot.
As Chaos and Ten Shin Han rushed to warn the other Z warriors, the confrontation between Goku, Vegeta, and Takagami entered a new level of intensity. The struggle for the fate of the universe was in full swing. A cosmic battle was raging on planet Earth, where darkness and light collided in a frantic dance of energy. Goku and Vegeta, the brave Saiyans, were facing Takagami, the Falcon, sacred god of darkness. The intensity of the combat resonated in the universe, and every movement threatened to tear reality itself apart. Takagami, who had increased his power, floated in the air with an imposing presence and dark aura. His eyes glowed with malice as he watched the Saiyans, who stood firm, prepared to defend their fate of the planet. In response to their enemies' increased power, Goku and Vegeta channeled their ki to the maximum, raising their power to the Super Saiyan. "Vegeta, this guy's strong, but that only means that this fight will be even better."
Huh, of course, Kakarot. This is our time to shine.
The planet Earth vibrated with the energy released by the three contenders. The distant stars seemed to pale before the magnitude of the conflict. The clouds were dissipated by such a demonstration of power. Takagami, with his increased speed, lunged at Goku with a darkness-laden punch. Goku, using his elasticity and quickness, dodged gracefully, leaving a trail of flashes around him by the speed at which Takagami was lashing out with his nigh-speed punches. Vegeta, with a burst of ki, stepped between Goku and Takagami, blocking an attack that would have been devastating his fellow Saiyan. The shockwave from the collision sent debris in all directions.
I expected nothing less from you, sacred god of darkness.
Takagami defiantly unleashed a series of dark blasts towards Goku and Vegeta. The Saiyans responded with perfect timing, countering each attack with precise strikes and energy waves. The scene looked like a combat symphony, where every movement was choreographed with divine precision. Goku, with a twinkle in his eye, concentrated his energy on his hands. A bluish sphere of energy began to form, growing in size and luminosity. Vegeta, observing the familiar technique, smiled as he recognized the power that Goku was summoning. A colossal energy wave fired by Goku shot through the sky like lightning, hitting Takagami squarely. However, the darkness was absorbing the energy, and the Falcon emerged unscathed, laughing disdainfully.
Is that all you have, Saiyan?
While Goku was recovering from the effort of his attack, Vegeta launched himself at Takagami with supersonic speed. His fist slammed into the Dark God, creating a shockwave that shook the air. However, Takagami responded with a burst of energy that sent Vegeta backwards.
Ah! Damn, this guy's stronger than I thought.
Goku, recovering, joined the battle again. Both Saiyans, aware that they were facing a formidable enemy, decided that it was time to take the fight to the next level.
Vegeta, how about we show what we can really do? Of course, Kakarot. Let's do it.
Goku and Vegeta began to accumulate energy around them. The atmosphere was charged with an intensity of their ki as they unleashed their advanced forms. Goku transformed into the Super Saiyan Blue, while Vegeta assumed his evolved form, the Evolved Blue Super Saiyan. Are they taking each other seriously now? Goku and Vegeta, with their new forms, advanced towards Takagami with renewed determination. The speed and strength of the Saiyans were now incomparable. The impacts resounded like cosmic thunder, creating a symphony of destruction in the sky. The battle became even more intense. Goku and Vegeta, coordinating their movements, attacked Takagami with an impressive combination of techniques and melee attacks. The Falcon, despite its power, was overwhelmed by the ferocity of the Saiyans.
Final flash!
The bursts of energy, one blue and one golden, converged into a titanic explosion that engulfed Takagami. Light and darkness mixed in a burst of dazzling colors. However, when the explosion dissipated, Takagami emerged once more, his form slightly battered, but his determination intact.
His power is awesome, but I'm a god. The darkness cannot be defeated so easily.
Goku and Vegeta, without giving up, continued the offensive. The speed of his combat reached levels that defied comprehension. Punches and kicks were exchanged in a split second, creating a glow of cosmic collisions.
Big Bang attack! Kaioken 20 times!
The energy exploded again, shaking the sky with its fury. However, Takagami, with his divine resistance, withstood the attacks. The battle raged across the cosmos, with the warriors disappearing and reappearing in flashes of light and shadow. In the middle of the struggle, Goku and Vegeta began to feel an overwhelming pressure. Takagami's darkness seemed to expand, defying even the limits of the most powerful Saiyans. Reality itself was twisting under the influence of dark energy.
This darkness is incredibly strong. We can't back down now, Kakarot. We must get over this.
Both Saiyans raised their powers even more. The fight reached a new peak of intensity. The Saiyan was exploding like fireworks in the vastness of the night sky, lighting up the darkness with flashes of determination and defiance. Takagami, at the epicenter of the storm, smiled ominously.
Now you'll see the true power of eternal darkness.
The universe trembled as the battle reached its climax. The warriors were fighting for the fate of everything they knew, and the question that lingered in space was whether the light of the Saiyans could overcome the darkness of the sacred god. The planet Earth rumbled with the intensity of the cosmic battle. Goku and Vegeta, drenched in sweat, maintained their advanced forms as they prepared for Takagami's next assault. Darkness was emanating from his figure, but something seemed out of place. The Dark God's skin had a grayish hue, as if he had not yet completed the possession of its wearer. Takagami, with a guttural laugh, seemed to notice the perplexity in the Saiyans' expressions.
Surprise, Saiyans! I've not yet revealed all my power.
Goku and Vegeta exchanged puzzled looks. Something was not right, and both warriors felt it. At that moment, Takagami convulsed. A new form shook, as if he was fighting against something. An invisible force seemed to pull at him from within.
No! I haven't taken complete control yet!
Suddenly, a burst of dark energy enveloped Takagami, hiding him from view. The Saiyans were on guard, prepared for any surprise. Their energy in the air became denser, as if the cosmos itself was on the verge of transformation.
What's going on?
Before they could form any more questions, the dark energy dispersed, revealing Takagami's true form. However, what they saw took their breath away. At the moment of arriving at his true form, he let himself see the body he was possessing. This body was Yamcha's. Once the warriors saw that, Takagami completed his bird-headed humanoid form. But now the true form of the sacred god of destruction was clearly revealed. The Falcon's head was clearly shown, with a defined musculature but a thin body, wearing blue Egyptian clothes with gold bracelets and a gold necklace. Huge wings which disappeared and appeared at their whim. Now, Takagami had something going for him. He was playing against the Saiyan warriors. Not only should he defeat them, but they should also avoid harming Yamcha.
That's what Yamcha looks like!
Takagami's rumbling laughter filled the space. Now completely in possession of Yamcha's body, the Dark God was displaying a malevolent smile.
That's right, Saiyans. This weak body belongs to me now.
Vegeta gritted his teeth furiously.
Damn it! How dare you possess one of us? It's not just one Saiyan. Soon all of you will become Baomut puppets.
The reality of the situation hit Goku and Vegeta, but the force of the cosmic impact, the dark entity they were facing, was not only a dark god, but also had the power of possessing earthling warriors. Yamcha, now inside the sacred god of darkness, did not have any sign of consciousness. The god had taken control of his being completely.
Ha 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 ha! There's no escape. Baomut will be released, and this universe will fall into eternal darkness.
Goku and Vegeta shared a determined look. They knew the threat was even greater now. Not only were they fighting a dark god, they were also faced the possibility of losing their friends and allies in this fight.
Vegeta, we have to find a way to free Yamcha and stop Takagami!
Of course, Kakarot. But first, we have to deal with this dark god.
The battle continued, but now the situation was more desperate. Takagami, with Yamcha's body, unleashed an unstoppable fury. The Saiyans struggled not only against eternal darkness, but also against the weight of facing one of their own companions. Explosions of energy lit up the sky, but the inner struggle of Goku and Vegeta was equally intense. Every blow, every burst of ki resonated with the promise of freeing Yamcha and saving the universe from the threat of Baomut. But Takagami wasn't going to give up so easily.
Do you think you could beat one of the World Eater's henchmen?
The dark energy intensified in the ultimate form of the sacred god of darkness. Now, the freedom to be able to use all his power launched relentless attacks. Goku and Vegeta, with their advanced forms, were fighting with all their might, but the darkness had a firm grip. The struggle dragged on. Every moment seemed like an eternity. Yamcha, although he was just a contender for Takagami, at one point during the fight showed signs of pain on his face. It was as if his very essence was fighting against the darkness that was consuming her.
Yamcha, hold on! Let's get you out of this!
But Goku's words were lost in the storm. Takagami, with a maniacal laugh, continued his assault. The Earth, witness of this cosmic conflict, trembled before the magnitude of the confrontation between light and darkness. Somewhere far away, Chaos and Ten Shinhan, after alerting the other Z warriors about the threat, returned to the battlefield. Seeing the situation, Ten Shinhan's face filled with fury as Chaos clenched his fist determinedly.
Takagami! I'll make sure you pay for this!
Both warriors joined the fight, but even with their abilities, facing a dark god who possessed one of his own would not be so easy. The battle turned into a desperate struggle to face Yamcha and stop Baomut before he was released. During the chaos, Goku and Vegeta shared a look of determination. The darkness could be powerful, but the light of the Saiyans would shine even in the darkest moments. The battle for the fate of the universe was far from over, and Earth's heroes were ready to face any challenges that stood in their way. Taking a trip to the past, one day before the strange artifact was impregnated into Goku's chest, after rescuing his son Goten, Yamcha, oblivious to the imminent danger that was coming, was exploring an ancient Egyptian pyramid during an archaeological expedition. The atmosphere was charged with mystery and the promise of amazing discoveries. Deep inside the pyramid, Yamcha stumbled upon an ancient artifact that was glowing with a dim light. It was an Egyptian bracelet decorated with intricate hieroglyphs. Fascinated by her beauty and attracted by an inexplicable force, Yamcha could not resist and placed the bracelet on his wrist. The moment the bracelet touched his skin, a strange sensation enveloped Yamcha. It was not painful or threatening, but rather captivating. An ancestral connection was established between the earthly warrior and the Egyptian artifact. What Yamcha didn't know was that this artifact contained an ancient power linked to the age of gods and legends. As the light from the bracelet merged with Yamcha, an ancient presence awoke. It was the essence of an ancient god that was lying asleep inside the artifact. However, this being was neither malevolent nor benevolent. It was simply an ancestral force seeking to join a mortal existence, or at least that was what Yamcha felt at that moment. The god, by merging with Yamcha, granted him abilities and knowledge beyond his comprehension. Yamcha felt with a strength and connection to the story itself. The fusion, although puzzling at first, resulted in a unique symbiosis between the earthly warrior and the divine entity. Yamcha didn't know what the bracelet actually was. Returning to the battle, every moment became more challenging for Goku and Vegeta and the earthly warriors. Takagami, now completely liberated, unleashed a destructive force that tested even the most powerful Saiyans. In an effort to turn the tide of the battle, Ten Shinhan and Chaos joined the fight. Both warriors, aware of the threat possessed by Takagami, threw themselves into the fray bravely. His unique skills and determination added a new dynamic to the conflict, but even with his intervention, the darkness persisted.
Ten Shinhan, keep the pressure on. We cannot allow this darkness to take over our world.
Ten Shinhan nodded, concentrating his energy on coordinated attacks with Goku and Vegeta. Despite their combined efforts, Takagami remained a relentless adversary. As the battle reached its peak, Goku and Vegeta, exhausted but without losing their determination, shared a look of mutual understanding. They knew they needed an extra power to face Takagami at his finest. Instantly, an idea crossed their minds of the Saiyan's fusion.
Vegeta, I know it's not something you prefer, but I think it's our only option. I don't like to admit it, Kakarot, but I agree with you. If we want to stop this monster, we need all the power we can get.
Both warriors assumed the necessary postures to perform the fusion dance. The energy of Goku and Vegeta intertwined in a brilliant flash, and within seconds, an entirely new warrior emerged. Gogeta in his base form, the supremely powerful fusion of the two Saiyans.
It seems the occasion requires it. Now, Takagami, get ready. So you think a ridiculous fusion will be able to stand up to my power?
Gogeta rushed towards Takagami with amazing speed. The matchup that followed was an unmatched display of skills. Gogeta dodged Takagami's attacks with grace, fighting back with overwhelming force. However, the darkness that enveloped the Dark God proved to be a formidable challenge. During the intense battle, Ten Shinhan and Chaos continued to bravely fight, but the price of a confrontation was already becoming apparent. Takagami, taking advantage of the distraction, launched a devastating attack that left Ten Shinhan and Chaos seriously injured. Goku and Vegeta, seeing their companions in danger, felt a surge of rage. Gogeta redoubled his efforts, attacking with renewed ferocity. However, Takagami, aware of the situation, diverted his attention to Ten Shinhan and Chaos.
Feeling the despair, Saiyans? Soon this world will witness its end.
Goku and Vegeta, full of rage and determination, increased their speed. They knew they needed to do something before Takagami carried out his threats. The battle reached its climax when Gogeta launched a massive attack on Takagami, seeking to break his resistance. However, the darkness surrounding Takagami intensified, revealing a surprise resistance. It was then that Ten Shinhan and Chaos, still on the ground, exchanged a determined look. They knew that whatever they had to do to give Gogeta a chance to defeat Takagami.
Goku, Vegeta, you need time. I'll take care of holding this monster. I'll come with you, Ten Shinhan. Together we'll be the barrier they need.
Goku and Vegeta, although reluctant to lose their friends, went at full speed to avoid what they had in mind.
Don't do it, Ten Shinhan! Chaos!
Ten Shinhan and Chaos stood up, ignoring the pain coursing through their bodies. With determination, they faced Takagami, resisting his attacks with all their might. Gogeta, seeing the situation, understood the magnitude of the sacrifice they were making.
We cannot disappoint this sacrifice. We have to win this.
While Ten Shinhan and Chaos bravely fought Takagami, Gogeta continued his assault with the intensity intact. The battle was taking place on two fronts, with the Earth Warriors sacrificing themselves to provide the necessary opening. Goku and Vegeta, as he approached, their hearts were filled with sorrow and gratitude towards Ten Shinhan and Chaos. Gogeta, with supersonic speed, approached the scene where Ten Shinhan and Chaos were bravely facing Takagami. His gaze reflected the mixture of determination and regret, knowing that the sacrifices of his teammates were the key to victory.
Hold on a little longer, guys. Let's put an end to this.
The Saiyan fusion advanced towards Takagami, who, upon seeing Gogeta's arrival, stopped attacking Ten Shinhan and Chaos to confront the fused warrior. The intensity of the battle reached a new level, with attacks and counterattacks echoing across the battlefield. Tenshinhan, with his remaining strength, took advantage of that distraction to hold Takagami with all his strength, preventing him from moving freely. His face showed determination and resignation at the same time.
Chaos, this is your chance. Make every second I hold this monster worth it.
Chaos, next to Tenshinhan, nodded weakly. His body showed the ravages of the battle, but his eyes were shining with all the will to do the duty.
Tenshinhan is right, Gogeta. The light will always prevail over the darkness. Remember that. Goku, Vegeta, take care of our world. This is our last act.
At that moment, Chaos accumulated an immense amount of energy to sacrifice himself. Gogeta, who was very close, were hit by the shock wave of the explosion. Gogeta, recovering from the impact, looked at the place where his companions were with solemnly.
Your sacrifice will not be in vain. I promise.
After what happened, Gogeta raised his head and with an uncontrollable anger increased his ki in such a way that he made the battlefield rumble, making the stones that were in the place fly, making Takagami retreat only with the gusts of air that expanded from his being. In a panning from head to toe, we managed to see Gogeta's transformation in Super Saiyan Blue Phase 4, which showed the essence of Ozaru as a kind of aura in blue color, and a more controlled but much more powerful version, a transformation never seen, since they were not able to coordinate their powers to be able to reach said transformation. As Gogeta's energy transformed into a surprising and controlled version of Super Saiyan Blue Stage 4, a brilliant blue essence of Ozaru manifested around him, revealing unparalleled potency. The cosmic landscape trembled before the magnitude of this new form. Goku and Vegeta, witness of this unique transformation, were filled with amazement and determination. It was evident that Gogeta was reaching a level of power never seen before, fusing the essence of Super Saiyan Blue with Ozaru's formidable presence flawlessly. Gogeta, in his new form, turned an intense gaze towards Takagami, whose expression of confidence was overshadowed by surprise. The battle, far from having come to an end, was just beginning in this new phase. The universe was waiting for the outcome of this epic confrontation, where light and darkness collided in a cosmic dance. The promise of a new dawn loomed on the horizon, but the price of triumph was uncertain.
What will happen next? Find out in the next chapter. Well guys, this is all for today's chapter. I hope you liked it and it was to your liking. Now don't forget to leave your powerful like Supreme God level, comment and subscribe. Now without further ado, see you in a new video. Until next time.
Subscribe.